come the end of every week, I got to sit around, I got to look at all the stuff I've got in here, and I got to decide, what are we going to make a video on this time? And I can flip-flop back and forth, and it takes about an hour, hour and a half to maybe this one, maybe this one, maybe this one. Well, now I finally decided to knock this one out right here. The old Lionel, the old GG-1, the Pennsylvania. This one's a customer's. He emailed me and asked if I worked on customer stuff, and I usually say the same thing. Not really, because I got so much of my own stuff to work on unless it's really cool. And he replied what it was, and I said, that's really cool. Ship her in. So we're going to knock it out, and then we're going to have to unfortunately ship it back to him. I don't get to keep this one, dang it. But I think it's going to be a fun journey. Let's learn about the Lionel GG-1s, what they had. We already see that it's not scale length, because if it was, it'd be about like this. But let's see what this thing does. I'm Ron, Classic Model Trains. A close-up of it right here, but let's see what she can do here. Well, I don't see nothing wrong with that, other than it's kind of funky. I wonder if this light here works when it comes in. Oh, there, we got something to work on. The light on this end over here don't work. Well, why was this sent in then? I'm gonna have to call this fella up and see what's going on. He said it didn't run. And it looks like it's running pretty good to me. Let me give him a holler and see what he says. Well, I gave this fella Joshua a call. He lives out there in the Santa Clara area of California. And I asked him why he sent it in. I go, this thing seems to work just fine. He goes, well, that's weird. When I tried it out, it didn't work. And I go, well, I don't know, unless something got jarred while it was in shipping, that kind of knocked it back into shape and it figured it better come around and start working, or you got a problem with your power supply. And he goes, I don't know, I took my Tyco transformer and wired it up to it and it didn't do a thing. Well, that's, yeah. I explained to him that Tyco transformers and all HO transformers put out DC current, and that this Lionel needs AC current. Now, he's a nice enough guy. We've all had our learning curves and stuff like that. He seems to collect GG-1s. This one was given to him by a buddy named Tom. Gave it to him, a GG-1, can you believe it? Oh man. So he just likes to have them up on the shelf. And that's fine. I enjoy working on them. And now we can take this one apart and we can see how it works, root around in it and see some of the fanciness about it. This was apparently a 46 to 49 version. Well, enough of me yapping. Let's get this up on the operating table and start taking it apart, rooting around in there with a stick and seeing how it works. So we cast our peepers on this. We can see it's missing the up and downers. Well, they're right here in the bag. There's a reproduction one and there's one original one in here. Pantographs. And the body, it's got markings, dirt, something going on with that. I hope we can clean that up with the toothbrush and some washing and maybe a wax job. This is the first metal painted in a color Lionel I've ever worked on. Pretty neat. A lot of trucks underneath here. These ones here are just, they're not powered. Here's where all your drive is coming from. Pickups. And then these right here are for remote coupling and uncoupling. I ain't never worked on one of these before, so we're gonna have to go through it at the same time. Slow, and basically looks like I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't. I see a screw, I'm taking it out. That's all I know for sure. We're gonna get in it, clean it, wash it, wax it, re-lube it. I come out of the top. Got my paint trays here. Help from losing stuff. It'd be really handy if the body would come off with that, but no, we got half. This Phillips here, oh, something going on. It acted like if nothing was really going on. That one came out right there. How about now? How about now? No. Half of it's wanting to come out, the other half is not. Take these truck bolts out right here. This thing smells like electrical. It smells like the way you remember Lionel's smelling from running them for a really long time. So that was just a quarter turn in and out. It's almost got like that burnt electrical smell. Oofta. I wonder if it's got a horn in it. Can we do that again over on this side? Long needle nose pliers, because my fingers are big. Another bolt looks just like that. Machine screw. Well, these are nice that these are self-contained. They really are, and it looks like it's been run into the wall or other things a few times because the plow, the front end, the pilot, this part right here, it's knocked backwards. Both of them just a bit. Ooh, more screws. Let's take these 4 out. Let's see what we're going to find behind there. Here we got, there's one of the reasons why our one light don't work. It's burned out and it's rusted. Oh yeah, it's stuck in there. Here's a couple bolts right here. Should we call them bolts or machine screws? Now we're just going to call it lost. I kind of use that term interchangeably. Seems like a machine screw is anything smaller than a 1/4 inch. This is what that little guy right there looked like. There's going to be another one down inside the shell as soon as we get in there. Here's one jammed up over here. Could be like a number 14 machine screw. Just a truck that's floating around. Oh, that's the E unit that I unbolted. Wondered what that was. So yeah, that machine screw that was right up over here. Here's that bolt that I lost. Machine screw. And what is this thing? Is it got itself, it's a spare first aid kit? We're gonna get it. Oh, there we go. So this one's held in with one big rotating screw, which goes in right there. So there's a definite front and back to the bodies. Get these 2 screws out over here in the front and see what we're going to encounter. A weight. Oh, is it a big one? Heavy? Holy moly. And another bulb that this time will come out. So there's our body right there. Horns, little on the bent side. Get that out of the way so we can get it to working on it. What's going on here? The wire, it's so old and cracked that the insulation is falling off on it. So somebody did the next best thing besides replacing the wire by just taping it up. This is going to be our horn. Yeah, DC, recoil, closes these points, makes this horn vibrate right there, and then this would be the echo chamber, is what I'm gathering just by casting my peepers on it. First time I've seen it. Noticeable size weight up in here. I do want to take it off so that way we can prep this piece of metal right here. 2 screws here, machine screws. Dumpster the dog is wandering around in here with me. She doesn't like it. She wants to be outside so she can play with the black and white kitties. Long screws in there. I suppose this is probably cast lead too. Is it soft? Oh yeah. I have to go wash my hands now. Looks like all of our power is being picked up in through here. Yes. I'm gonna get the boys from the graphics department down here and draw us up a wiring schematic on this real quick. Down and dirty, so in case something breaks off, we know where the wires need to go. Well, the drawing's pretty straightforward, but you know, in case you have a stroke halfway through, you got to know where to put stuff at. So I try to just, you know, generalize. Generally trying to get it in case you forget. We're gonna get this nasty monster off right here. I might have to put the big girl tip on this thing. Goodness. If one wire's bad, they're all gonna be bad. I happen to have bulk Lionel wire of this particular gauge, so we're just gonna go ahead and replace them all. Getting into this, I believe the E unit is being held on by this screw right here. Yes, it is. It's crazy, one screw. It's all they ever do. So there's our primary power pickup. How hard is it going to be to get this off? Because it also goes down into a finger here. Yeah, pretty easy. And the rest of it just comes back to the motor back over here on the brush housing. Let's take these 2 bolts off here. See how our armature and everything looks like in there. Our brushes, our commutator. I wonder if this is the one that's got the loose ball bearings in it. So when I take it apart, they're going to start rolling all across the floor. This is the one that's got the wire right here that you got to take off though. You can see that the wire that goes to the electromagnet is twisted around right through here onto this pole. So I can't get the brush holder off to service it. So we got to take this apart. All right, it took longer to bellyache about it than it did to just do the job. Brushes, they look nice and long. They're filthy. They've got this braced in. They're really nice. This coming all around over here. Got to get all this out. 2 up here. And then there's going to be 2 here on the motor. Here, here. Get the wire, get the pickup wire there. That is a lot of action going on holding that in there. Little screws, longer screws, black screws with lock washers, all working to hold this motor in. The pieces are starting to stack up. I think I got another tray. I want to clean up the pickups. So we'll take this out. Look at those. Man, this thing's hardly really ever been ran. Wowza. Really, really nice. Little screws that look like that. There should be some insulators in here also. There they are, right in there. Those are important. Keeps the bolt from shorting out. Pull this out. There's our pickup. Here's all of our wheels. And we are going to be ultrasonic cleaning this. Many, many filthy parts. I want this armature out so I can clean this bearing surface area in here. So it's either going to be okay or it's going to be bad. It's bad. It's bad. Oh, there they are right there. Boom, boom, boom. Yep. I heard all 3 of them hit. That's okay. There they are right up in the front. See them there? And they're all loose. Let me get something to put those in. Got me a little surface here to try to contain these. 2, 3, 4. We got 6 more up here in the front. 3 right there. Yep. And then if I can get this out, and then there'll probably be another set right down in there. This set doesn't seem to be complete. It's missing some. Only 6. Thrust washer on the inboard side. There's 10 on the outboard one and 6 on the inboard one. Just doesn't make, no. And I didn't drop any as I kept an eye on it, and I can hear them. We're gonna put this in a baggie when we ultrasonic it, and if they're down inside here, which is doubtful, they would have just fell all the way out this way. We'll find them. I don't see them in here anywhere. Let's get that ultrasonic warming up. The Lionel GG-1, during its post-war life, had 4 different variants. The 2332, the one that we're working on right now, is got they all have the die-cast body to them. This one's only got 1 driven truck inside of it. And it's only available in the green. And it's got that horn in it, that electromechanical sound box thing. We'll hear it here in a little bit. And this version seems to be the most available version out there in the post-war market that's around. And the reason I say that it's the most available because it's the most inexpensive to get into. The 2330 is one that came out in 1950. And it is more desirable because it's got the magnet traction and it's also got dual motors. Oh, mercy. The thing is heavy enough as it is. And then imagine having 2 motors in it, that kind of weight and magnet traction. This thing must be able to pull and pull and pull. Oh man, only available in the Brunswick green. In 1955, they introduced the 2340, and it came out in 2 variations. Mechanically the same thing as the 2330 from 1950, dual motored, magnet traction. The 1950 and the 1955 has the dry cell battery powered horn inside of it. And that creates, people forget about the battery, they leak all over the place, and then it destroys the chassis components because the acid leaks all over stuff. Ugh, makes a mess out of them. But the 1955, the 2 versions were the Brunswick green one and the Tuscan red, which was used in the Congressional Service ones that the PRR was running up and down back in the day. So now I know what the red one is for. It only took 5 years to learn that. I knew there was a red one, I knew there was a green one, I knew there was a black one. And then I didn't know what the different colors were for. Yeah. Apparently, the red one from 1955 commands the most amount of money. Now, I got the David Doyle Book of Lionel Trains, And this one has got a date on the front of it of 2004. They only talk about the good, the very good, and the excellent in there. And it runs anywhere back in 2004, mind you. The 2332, which is the 1947 to 49 version, the most common one that's out there, goes anywhere from $100 to $400 for one in a very, very good, very excellent condition. Box, liner, papers. It's got to have all that stuff, not water stained. It's got to look brand new to pull the $400. Now the 1950 version with the dual motors and the magnet traction, that thing goes from $800 to $2,200. No, this is 2004 now. Just wait. 1955 Tuscan red one is the rarest out of them all. It can go anywhere from $1,400 to $2,500 for that one. It's kind of rare. They're kind of all hammered out. And then the green one, anywhere from $800 to $2,100 as well. I had to get on the eBay and I had to fish around a little bit. And you find just simple plain Jane ones at around $100. Nicer ones varying up to $53. This would be for the 47 to 49. The 1950, yeah, they go about $350 if it's got a box. The Tuscan red ones, though, nobody knows that they're the cool variant, and they're selling them dirt cheap. If nobody knows or nobody cares, then what do you do? It's kind of a neat time to be into Lionel post-war right now, because I can actually afford it. 20, 30 years ago, I couldn't have dreamed of having this stuff to be working on. And unfortunately, all them fellers died off. Their families didn't care about all that stuff, flooded the market with it, and here we are with really cheap post-war stuff. Since we got the video stopped, now is an excellent time right now to do the Classic Model Trains Classic Model of the Week. This picture of this Classic Model of the Week was taken in 1957. I'll give you that as a little hint. You guys know who it is? If you do, type it in the comments down below real quick. If you don't, hang out to the end and I'll let you know who it is. Let's get back into this. So we've just got some of the smaller parts right here, just the hardware. And I think I'll just keep the electromagnet and the brush holders out. And I'm going to wash a lot of this stuff by hand. That I don't want to get submerged or wet because it's the horn and it probably makes some strange sound. And I want to change the pitch on that. Over here in the Ultrasonic, we're warming it up. We got the bags full, trucks, things, miscellaneous parts. Here's the electromagnet and the armature. Water's cold. Water in the simple green in the bags are cold. So I'm going to let it sit here for a while and warm everything up. Put the lid on here. Guess I'll let the air out of those bags first. And then I suppose half an hour once this is warm, we'll turn it on, give it about 5 to 7 minutes, break all that grease up. The back of this area over here had some of the nastiest, blackest ick in it. It's just to get down inside these brush holders right here, these tubes, you got to peel a little bit of the cotton off the end of these Q-tips here. Make them a little skinnier so you can get down inside there and really swab around. Because these will you got to get that carbon out of there. It needs to be clean. Work on this. Almost all this stuff's good. This brush here, it's supposed to be copper colored, like this one. And it's stained. It had grease on it, and then it got heated up, or something, I guess, and it kind of burned the grease inside of it. And I don't know why it got so much oil back in this area, unless somebody decided, hey, let's throw some oil in this little part right here. You can't service the back end of this motor because it's sealed up with them bearings. So this is just a brush holder, where sometimes some motors, this will double as the armature bearing or bushing surface. This E-unit, I ain't never seen an E-unit come out looking so nice. Goodness. Yeah, this just needs very little work on it. Odorless mineral spirits whooped out right into shape. The fingers look to be in really good shape. Uppers and lowers. I'm just kind of thinking that this thing has seen more shelf time than it has running. That is for sure. One of the nicest I've seen so far. Oh yeah, just a brief 45 minutes later. Goodness gracious. Let's twist the wick on this thing. Here it is, 7 minutes. Bucket, out of bag. Oh, we sprung a leak on this one, dang it. And there goes my cost. One armature. This feller here, there is a thrust washer, fell out. Electrical pickups, brackets for the motor rollers, and a idler truck. Oh no, this is the drive truck. Now the wheels are brass. Front and rear plates that the lights were on. This is the idler one here, and it came out really nice. Look at this bag. You can't even see in it. I'm a little nervous what I'm going to find. Front and rear trucks looking gorgeous. Let these air dry, and then we can start working on it again. Turns out there's a lot to these trucks. This was here, this was here, this was sitting up here. This little feller was sitting right up in here. Here's all the little pieces parts for it, and they're all dirty still. So I'm going to have to take the trucks apart to clean them up individually. Odorless mineral spirits and Q-tips, and just get all the grease off of it. And then this stuff is really dry and dull. So then I'll take some of this and kind of rub it into it to kind of get the black to come back out, just to get all this old grease out. Lots of parts on this one, my goodness. The old odorless mineral spirits here. Self-serving tray. Set the jug down someplace where you can kick it over and ruin something. And we've got some civilian Q-tips here. So we're just gonna go through on everything we can find. Probably should, if I have to do this, I might as well just done it in the first place, it seems like. Grease in areas you wouldn't even have thought of. I guess I should have took it apart deeper. But then the problem with the ultrasonic cleaner is that it'll pull color out. You know, these things might be, I think they're chemically blackened. And I think it's a lot like what happens with guns. But they call that bluing, but it looks black. And you can kind of make this go away. There was rust on this, so I tried to wire brush the rust off, and then it took the black chemical blackening off the thing. So then we got to put a little, you know, everything needs a light coat of oil for rust protection, but it's just like, dang it. I got to go talk to a gunsmith and see what it takes to chemically blacken things. If a person really wants to go all the way on these, got to learn all the tricks. Either that or just don't use a really caustic way of cleaning it, I suppose. The learning curve, it's always steep. Well, I've disassembled this one and I've rubbed a little bit of 3-in-1. This is a petroleum-based product right here. I put just a little bit on this toothbrush, and I've just been going around when it was all taken apart and just coating it. And then it puddles up in some areas, and you keep doing this. I read this I read it once, and then I forgot about it. And then a couple of guys commented and said that you can do this with these old Lionels, and Lionel recommends a little light oil. It's kind of like how you oil up your firearm. So this is what the power truck looks like when it came out, and this is what we got going on now. And I just got done with this. I mean, this job is going to take all weekend for me to film it, shoot it, edit it, and then we can come back to it and see how it came out, but it's not going to have a residue on it, I believe. I did this on an American Flyer last week, and it worked well. So we're going to do it on this one here. We've got it all serviced up except for a little Earl in the bushings. I'm holding this at like a 45 on top of each one so I can get it to run down inside of this has actually got real bushings in it. I can see these brass bushings down in there. I love these working on this old stuff like this. Oh, it's the bomb. And this hasn't been run much because there's no bushing slop whatsoever. No. So we got this one truck done, and I've only got like 3 more to go because there's the drive, and then there's the other 2, the pilot and the trailing truck, or the pilot and the other pilot. That is so nice. So nice. Here's a rundown of all the major components for this thing. This has got some of the most parts out of any Lionel that I've ever taken apart so far. And all these are actually put together. If I had all these broken down into their component levels, holy moly, would we have some nuts and bolts and screws all over the place. I got a little bit of the bad news though. When I cleaned out this drive truck right here, and it had a lot of grease that was inside this gear, and it was keeping this axle, from moving back and forth. Once it got all cleaned out, the drive gear, this is the drive, and then it drives these other gears. I'll show you. I'll bring you in on a close-up here. It looks like it was assembled wrong, or it's got a really poor design because it has stripped out gears in it. So I got on the horn and I called up Josh and asked him what he wants to do. And we're going to see if I can get a new drive wheel from the train tender out there in upstate New York. I got to get farther ahead than 2 days when I film this stuff. I'm going to show you how to service the things anyway and put it back together. And then I'll order the part and I'll put the wheel on and then I'll ship it back to him. I still think it's going to run because it did run at the beginning of the video. We seen it move up and down the track. I think it's going to run again this time, but it's not right. And I want to make it right. We're going to continue on and pretend like we didn't see that, but we're going to fix it in the long run is what I'm trying to say. So let's get back into the putting this thing together portion of the video. So we get in there, you can see that these wheels are turning and the front one's not, because the gears right through here, so right here, this part, they're stripped out. And if you pull the axle this way, then it works, and you push it this way, and then it don't. It's like it's got its own built-in in and out box. And since these gears are helically cut, when the motor is driving it, because it sits in here like this, just the rotation of it is going to force this axle to be fully engaged or fully disengaged, whether it's going forward or backward. So it's going to work really good in one direction and it'll probably kick out in the other direction. But it won't be like that forever, because we just take this side truck off and we'll use a wheel puller, pull it off the axle, press a new one on, and away it goes. Of course, I suppose the new wheel won't be copper colored, and so then it'll stick out. The joys. Now these have sat now for almost 24 hours. I did put a kind of a lot of oil on it down over here. And you see how it doesn't have any oily look to it anymore. That's because it all sort of soaked in. It went somewhere. It's going to give us a chance to get this back together. Starting with the motor and these little fellers right here. And I'll show you the trick how we do these. A lot of the old timers know this because we've worked with uncaged ball bearings before. You grease it really heavy and then it's going to be just fine. I found these thrust washers, and when I put the motor in a bag, that's when I found the majority of them. And we got two, and we're going to put this one here, is going to go in here first. These needle noses are still magnetic, because I touch magnets with them and then the magnetism transfers into here and then it doesn't go away. Then it makes everything stick. But we're going to use some grease, some super lube, and we're going to pack this. Oop. Okay, we're going to put a little in here to keep that thrust washer in place. Then we're going to put some grease all the way around this. And I think these tweezers are going to work because they're not magnetized. There was 6 in here and it was working. And I've got the grease in there, and that's going to hold these ball bearings while I assemble this. 4, 5, 6 down inside there. This one went down here. Then we're going to give a little bit of grease on it as well. Get this guy in. And then I got to do the exact same thing over here. Pack this with grease and then put those 10 ball bearings in around there. And then we're going to put this thrust washer on. Oh, we got thrust washer that goes in first. Here's the inner, the outer, then the lock ring. Yep. Same thing on this end, just bigger. More, I guess. Wish I had something to hold that in. I think I'll put some tape on it. Just so that it doesn't fall out and then the ball bearings can go someplace else. So we got all 10 of them in there. I put a little grease on this here. These aren't actually the bearings for the armature, because you can see that the armature doesn't move. It's got a brass bushing right in here that's doing the armature bushing bearing. These are more like really elaborate thrust washers is what they're like, what they are, what they're doing. Why are they so elaborate? I don't know. Put that one on, put the C-ring in. If I've done everything right, this will clip in. If I've done it wrong, then everything's going to fly apart. Here's the tape to hold the armature while I was doing that. This is made to be oiled right there. This goes down onto that shaft. because this sits at an angle, so of course this front one's going to get oiled up really good. It's the rear one that ain't. So I guess I'll let it kind of sit like this. Maybe we'll get a little oil to go into that rear bushing back there. It's kind of what I'm holding out for. Here is our pickup. We're going to put that little feller in right here. We've got these little black insulators. They're going to go down in here. This feller's going to go on, and then we're going to fight to get the screws in. One up here in the front, and then another one back over here. And I want just a little snugging with the big boy screwdriver here and there. And we want to horseshoe mode it, make sure it's not shorting out to ground. Ground here. Continuity from the pickup wire to the rollers. Yes. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Use a fiberglass pencil on the commutators in here. Just, you know, we're here, we might as well knock them out. Our brush holder, we've cleaned up the brushes. I give them a little love on the ends. Oh man. Hate it when this happens. We want the brushes to be able to slide in and out of here well, smoothly. You don't want to push them in and then they bind up and hang up in there. No, no, no. Here, here, and then try to push all this together. Hope that the brushes are going down inside the brush holes. Yep. And the brush holder screws. 2 of them. Here and here. Just a tiny snuggin', because we got bakelite. You don't want to get on that too hard. Now we have this fantastic bracket here that was just all over the place on this thing. Then I realized why it's so beefy. Because this is the pivot, that bolt that goes in the top of the body that allows this truck to spin. Since there's no frame on this thing, they're using the body as the frame, and then this bolt holding this whole thing up. Yeah. So I got to work on getting this bolted in, and then routing this wire so it can come up and do what it's supposed to do. It goes to the E unit. Did I take this apart too fast? Yes, of course. This pickup wire, this little notch right here coming out, that's where this is going to show up to make it to come out from underneath there. Longer screws go in here. It's got these alignment pins right there. They're going to go here and here to line that up. Yep, and then blackened machine screws hold the motor to the truck. These shorter ones like that with the bigger pan head on them are going to go into the motor. And then these little bit longer ones like this with the round are going to go up in the front here to hold that bracket on. Get them started, but don't clamp them down until you've got them all in and all started. Ah! And that sucks when that happens. I had everything organized, and then you drop something on it, you're done. I'm just glad that wasn't the one with all the ball bearings in it. Yeah, they're all in. Now we'll give them all a little. 2, 3, 4. Then we're gonna hang our E unit, and it's one sheet metal screw. Which makes sense. It's going into sheet metal. This wire and this wire are gonna go to the center, right here. This pickup wire, it's gonna go right there. This truck will have the ability to just drive on its own, back and forth. We gotta take a quick pause in our video right now to give our sponsor of this week a little bit of time. And the sponsor of this week happens to be Classic Model Trains eBay store. I finally sat down and got myself an official store on the eBay. The benefit about this is it makes it really easy to find the seller, me. You just go into the search bar and you type in Classic Model Trains, and then it'll bring up some oddball stuff, but at the bottom, it will bring up the store Classic Model Trains. Click on that, it will take you into my storefront. This is what it looks like right here. And I've got things broken down because I know we got guys that like all different kinds of gauges. All the HO stuff, you click on the HO thing, it'll show up. O stuff, I don't got any S up, I don't got any N up right now. And then other cool stuff is just like books, magazines, DVDs, things like that. It takes a phenomenal amount of time to put all this stuff in. I can work on it for 6-7 hours and have maybe 25 things put in. Goodness gracious. I'm trying to get all this stuff, you know, the locomotives that run, you know, I'll say they run. The ones that don't run, I'm going to fix them. If they don't run, I'm not going to fix them. I'll let you know that they don't run. There'll be a video of them running. A lot of them are the stuff that I've been working on already that I've got too much space to store. Some of the stuff is stuff the guys have sent in. These guys will send a letter in, and then I'll always say, hey, do what you want with it. If you want to sell it, that's great. Use it to raise money to support the channel. That's what we're doing with this stuff. I try to stay competitive because I got to research the prices on everything and doing the best we can. So if you'd like, check out the eBay store. Let's get back into fixing up this GG-1. Oh yeah. Can't believe it runs that well with that gear in it. Zippy little thing. Yeah. Soldering. It's a good technique. If you don't know it, you should pick it up. This body came out better from getting a little wash job. But we're going to take the old boot brush on it. People ask, is there any wax in this thing? No. No, there's not. It was just for like taking the dust off. And we're going to give it some of these. It looks like there's fingerprints on it. I kind of wanted to wax it, but these lines they're stamped on. And I'm concerned that if a guy was to put wax on it, that it could take that off. I don't know, maybe I'll still try it if I can't get this to really come back around. We just want them clean. Is that giving us much more? Sure, that's, yeah. Oh, much better, much better. Getting ready to put these all back together. I had to pull the wiring leads out because they were stuck. Springs were kind of rusted and the inside of this thing was kind of rusted. So we just wanted to clean them up, get them working to full functioning. These are using GE53 bulbs. I think I'll go test these on the track real quick just to make sure. Because everything, these go in first and then everything else hangs on it. There'd be a lot of stuff to have to take out if a guy has to. Yep, they're doing what they're supposed to. This one's got this little plate on it right here. And other than that, they look almost identical in what they do. And I'm thinking, dang it. And then I seen these scratch marks right here on the inside of this. And they line up with this plate. Now I know that where they go. One in the back, this one on this end. I was going to say the front and the back. Yeah. These don't have fronts and backs. And this one at this end. We're going to put some little screws in right there. Screws in, snugged up tightly. This truck right here goes at this end. There's these four where the screw holes are at, the bosses. And this tab sticks backwards because that's what this is going to end up getting bolted into. You put this in, you rotate it, and then da-da. So we're now going to take and put these little screws in over here. Oh, you know what? Where's that horn unit at? I wonder where the wire's at for this. How did it go in? Oh, it went right there. That's this long, nasty wire right here that came off. Yeah, because we got to take this wire, and then the horn unit wire, and then we got to solder it to that before we drop this in. I decided I wanted to see what this thing sounded like because it's quite the ugly combination. Once I got this wire on, let's test it before we put it in. And our McGird. Yeah, that's quite the deal there. Hey. And apparently you can change the pitch by adjusting this little nut here up and down. But that's about as sick sounding as it can be. Sounds good to me, huh? The DC coil right here, when you send the DC down the track, the coil energizes, closes these points. And that's what makes the thing do what it's supposed to do. Sounds like it's trying to die. Yuck. We're going to use this screw right here. And it comes down up in here. And then this little feller bolts in. And it bolts in like this. It kind of fell in. Something kind of aligned it a little bit. I felt it. Make sure we snug that up nice and good. Yes. Here's our 3 crazy wires. Let's get these soldered together. I'm gonna fight getting all 4 of these screws put in right here. These both seem to be the exact same front and back, which they should be. Work on getting this fancy bolt, this shoulder bolt put in right here. Holy moly. It's one of those you need an extra hand. Interesting design, I like it. We can get around them really tight curves. Man, that's pretty neat right there. Oh, that weight went right there. Oh, I almost forgot about that. This wasn't too bad of an almost, oops, one in, but not quite tight. It almost threads into the lead weight instead of slipping down into it. So you got to screw it all the way in and then get it started in the hole down below all at the same time. Crank on this because you sure don't want this coming loose and flopping around down there. Get these screws back in. There'd be a lot of work to these just to change out the light bulb. We're gonna get these wires soldered in right here. One of my wires is almost not long enough. And then this monster shoulder bolt comes down here from the top. One of these for the front. Right on. I don't need to even have any extra parts over here laying around. That's a good deal. I found one of these cool screwdrivers that's used for holding standard screws. I don't know why I didn't remember it the first time. I just got it. It's kind of why I forget. Well, that is handy. Oh my. I don't know what it's called. A Vaco K34. But that's gonna, if I can remember to use it, that's gonna make life really nice. Now the shell's all buggered up again. Put some hand lotion on so my hands didn't look so zombie-esque. What do we need to do to put these on? Are they gonna stay? Will they stay? What do we got? What's going? This one looks brand new. And there's supposed to be a hook right here for this spring to hook onto and make tension, and it's not there. Where this one, you can see the hook right there for that spring to sit on. But it doesn't. These things seem to be directional. The one with the nipple, and then this one's got kind of a pointy end. So you put the pointy end in, give it kind of a twist and a twirl. What is this? Flash hanging out right here? That real one pushed in, settled in with a real nice feel. This one is not. It sure don't stay. This front one does. Oh, that spring. That spring is actually holding it on. Oh, it's too bad. See how these things got a kind of a V shape to them? They're skinnier in the center, like an hourglass. And when you push this down, it makes a nice, satisfying click sound. And that actually holds that on. And since this cheap knockoff, this piece right here is missing, we can't put the spring on. And now we have nothing to hold it down onto the top of this. That is too dang darn it. We should see how the whole thing runs now. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Sure, yeah. Little shining on it. It didn't look bad to begin with. I had a couple passenger cars that were just laying around. I wanted to see how it looked with these on it. These are the Lionel extrudeds. And they're close to the same size. For sure, I haven't serviced them up at all. Those cars on it, you know, there's something behind them, that's for sure. No, oops, ew. No big layout. This would look really good on a big monster running around, but bad gears and everything, it's doing all I'd really hoped for. I am impressed. Yup. I can't believe that thing is running with that stripped out gear in there like that. Unbelievable. Right now, it's Sunday about 5 p.m. So tomorrow I'll be able to get up and make a phone call or two and see if I can find that axle assembly. Apparently it's the wheel and the axle all the way across with the gear on it, and I got to pull more work to it to make it. So because of that, it may be a little harder to find instead of just being able to pop the wheel off of the axle with the gear on it. This Fixing old stuff sometimes has a little downside to it. There's not a huge aftermarket market for these parts out there. Our classic model of the week, this gal's name is Mamie Van Doren. This is the 1957 picture of her right here. I was doing the math because what I'm about to tell you right now, this is a picture that was taken of her in 2022 at the age of 93 years old. Oh my God. Hollywood actress, wanted to be big. And I've never heard of her, but she looked like she was well maintained like that throughout her entire life. Lot of work has been done on Miss Mamie right there for sure. Want to thank all the 33%ers for hanging out with us on this somewhat long video. It seems like my videos keep getting longer and longer because it takes more time to tell all the stuff that we got to do to fix the... goodness gracious. I want to take this time to thank all my channel members that are out there. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel, Classic Model Trains, like you do. I have probably one of the best audiences that's out there. You guys are just amazing. Thank you so much. I'm Ron, Classic Model Trains. Bye-bye.